40 chess. Yeah. 40 chess. 40 chess. Let's get it.
Yo, is that T-Dog?
40 chess. 40 chess. Hey. 40 chess. This a trade show. Patreon where the trades go. Tap in and watch. That's what you came for. Ain't gotta say my name. They know my name, bro.
What's good, man?
We got McNutted in ATM. Always start off the show with a trade from them. You should always make sure that your trade is in. Patreon, why not be a Patreon? Know you wish you could spend every day with them. Tap in and say what you gon' say with them. South Harmon can fill up a stadium. Next time you log in, make sure that you bring a friend. We about to kick off, let the day begin. Go follow the socials. 40 Chess FF is posted. If your trade is an F, you get roasted. Go like and subscribe for the crew. Apple, Spotify, and the YouTube. You know Cooper got the warp too. Let us give you a walkthrough. 40 Chess. This is 40 Chess.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back into the Dynasty Trade Show. So glad you could join us. It's a pre-record. We haven't done one of these in, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 months.
It feels archaic. It's not actually archaic to do one of these, but it feels that way because it's so long ago, man. What's going on with you?
You got a big weekend ahead of you. Couldn't do it live. Somebody's having a birthday.
Someone's turning 36. It's like, I don't know why we celebrate birthdays. Like, me being born for my mom was a big deal, but does anyone else actually care?
Hey, you got to enjoy your birthday, man. You're going to do something this weekend.
If everyone lets me have a day, yeah, I'm going to go to the Pitt Clemson game, man. It should be fun.
Fuck yeah. Rushed home from work. We're going to knock out a pre-record. Send this one right over to Brian. Brian will edit it, and we'll finally have a 9 a.m. Central release. Early
release, yeah. Back to the OG.
On Saturday, before college football kicks off. See how it goes. But got some trades we missed last week. There just wasn't enough deals. Surprisingly.
I think there should be more trades, but I also believe the way that the season's gone down, especially with the lack of injuries at the running back position, I think there's enough teams just giving themselves that pretender talk. That's the one thing I feel like I've been seeing across my leagues. It's like I have to keep waiting, Mike. It's like Christmas isn't here, man. The gifts are under the tree. You just can't go get them yet. It feels like I'm waiting for some teams to be like, come on, man. I'm trying to give you the nudge. You need to bow out. Come on. I got some pieces. Let's dance. And they're just not quite ready to dance. So hopefully we got more trades this week. It was just a few days later. We're doing this on Thursdays. We got a slew of them. We got 7. I think the chips will start to fall where people are going to be making more trades here in the next 2 to 3 weeks, because when those teams have no choice, they're out of the playoffs. What are we doing now? Come on, Mike, let's be reasonable, right?
Let's go.
Let's see what you did. You started off the banger, drinking bleach. I'll tell you one thing. Making a trade with McNutted a lot of time does feel like you're drinking bleach, because he doesn't leave deals getting a raw deal normally. This one's crazy to me. Will Levis, Jonathan Brooks, 2 firsts from drinking bleach to get Drake Maye, Chase Brown, and Kamani Vidal. What's crazy about this? In the offseason, Kamani Vidal over Chase Brown, and it wasn't even close.
Look how far we've come.
Shit Savage is a best ball league with a lot of fucking starters, but I mean, is this like, did you wake up to this offer? Like, talk to me about this, man. What the hell is going on here?
Hey, man, you must really want Drake Maye. But you know my love for Drake Maye. He's played really well, and I'm really excited for him. And is it too much for me to say QB2 in this class? I think not.
No, I think it's definitely reasonable. I think Bo Nix actually has a claim to the secondary. If we're doing the prance them up there on stage, you got the first, the second, and the third places for them to go stand. I think Bo Nix and Drake Maye on 2 and 3. I think you could make a strong case for Bo at 2 or Drake Maye at 2. Neither one has 1, though. That's for sure. But I'll say this, there's just simply not another candidate to be discussed between those 3 guys in this class, in my opinion.
One of the things I loved, and I did it so many times this offseason in rookie drafts where you had a ton of picks.
Yeah.
So I just took all the quarterbacks that I could, every single one. So in this one, I ended up with Drake Maye and Jaden Daniels. I already had Jordan Love and Deshaun Watson just hanging out, you know.
Yep.
Watson, not so good. Jordan Love, pretty decent.
Watson died. Love is love. We're good.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, love is love. So sitting there with an abundance of quarterbacks. Team's still bad, though. 3-17 against the median, where I'm sitting right now. 3rd to last place. And drinking bleach right now in 6th place. So technically in the playoffs. See if he can hold on for the last playoff spot.
Did he need a quarterback, like in a bad way?
I don't remember what his roster is because this one was just so good for me anyways.
I'm trying to give a little bit of context for drinking bleach before I feel like I need to, looking at this trade.
So he had Baker Mayfield without his weapons. He has Sam Darnold, who's regressed into a redheaded pumpkin.
Oh.
And Will Levis.
Okay.
Wasn't good.
To me, I feel like you're drinking bleach by sending these firsts away, dude. Like that's, I know you're in the mix, man. To me, Drake Maye, I guess long-term does answer. So if you told me it's just 125 first for Drake Maye, I'm with it, right? Getting rid of Levis, getting rid of Brooks, fine. But mortgaging my future again in 26, it ain't it with this team, bro. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
It's one of those where you put the pressure on. I don't remember exactly how that initial offer came in, but I got to put the pressure on. You want Drake Maye, you're going to pay for him.
Sure,
right?
Of course.
Not just taking fucking Jonathan Brooks and Will Levis and one first.
I'm not saying you should have not asked for more. I'm just saying at that point, if I can't get that done, I'm walking away from this fucking table, buddy, because what you have done, in my opinion, if you're drinking bleach, is you've allowed you, McNutted, to become a stronger rebuilder, and you have not truly made yourself closer to the top.
True.
That's antithetical for your team, and it's great for everybody else in the league, in my estimation.
I like sitting here knowing I got a couple firsts in 25, and I got a couple firsts in 26, and I got a bunch of seconds scattered through both classes. I got Jaden Daniels and Bijan and Garrett Wilson and Jahmyr Gibbs and Will Levis now provides Jordan Love. Feeling good, man. Feeling good. This is like, we finished third to last, so it's not that great, but future looks promising-ish. I'm with you, though. Like, the other side of it, I don't think I'm making this deal, especially if I'm already sitting in, fifth or sixth place in a best ball league going like, why do I want to leverage 26 as well?
What's the Kamani Vidal part of this trade? Do you guys counter back and forth? I'm dunking all over this trade, but I need to understand how this happened. Is this back and forth? Was this just sitting double cheeked up? Like, how did this happen?
We got to establish too. What's double cheeked up mean?
It means someone is just sitting there assuming the position for you to like, all I got to do is go close the deal, That's what's up.
So started off with the opening offer, Will Levis, Jonathan Brooks, and a 25 first for Drake Maye and Chase Brown.
Okay.
Countered with Will Levis, Brooks, 25 first, 26 first for Chase Brown and Drake Maye.
Okay. He asked for Vidal?
No, then it got countered. Will Levis, Kenneth Walker, Jonathan Brooks, 25 first, 26 first for Drake Maye, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Chase Brown.
Okay.
Which I promptly just rejected and moved on with my life. All right, we're going nowhere here.
You've asked too much. It's time to close the...
it's time to close. Which then was followed by, shortly after, a brand new proposal. Will Levis, Jonathan Brooks, the 25 first, the 26 first for Chase Brown, Drake Maye, and Kamani Vidal.
All right. Well,
done.
I'm glad you gave us the whole walkthrough. What I always find interesting about some of these deals is like, I was very curious of one thing. Who brought Kamani Vidal to the table?
Not I.
I was assuming like, you're just like, here, you can take this Kamani Vidal piece, and you're kind of making him drink some medicine. No, he requested a Vidal piece. That's very intriguing to me.
What is nice, the biggest takeaway, besides the trade and breaking it down, Adam, looking back on it now and remembering what went into it, there's something to be said about like when you're countering back and forth with somebody, to be that person who just rejects it, doesn't send the counter and just says, fuck it. Like, 100%. Just break off all communication. Right? And all of a sudden they sit there, they're like, that first one you said wasn't so bad.
No, for sure. I think what it is there's an element to the mystique of it, right? Like if you're just like, hey, I'm going to back and forth counter with you, it's almost just breaking someone from the traditional cycle enough to be like, because you know what's crazy, Mike, about this deal? This speaks to the exact thing I was talking about when we started the show. There's not enough people willing to commit to going the wrong way. There's not enough people like you willing to take a 25 and 26 first. And right now, people are feeling like there's only one or two or three options. And if you didn't have, in America, capitalism, the ability to go to 25 different grocery stores, what's going to happen? Giant Eagle or the one, whatever the fucking one is, and be like, you know what? We can charge a little more. You know what? We can charge double. You know what? Buy one, get one free. Those are off the table, right? Like the idea of having other places to go to makes it huge. And if you're just hell bent on right now, not losing any more weeks, I can't afford to do that. If you're in this place where you're sixth place, I got to win this week. I need assets that are going to score. Mike's the one I'm willing to give them to you. Chase Brown, Drake Maye, and I'm going to call it what it is, a roster clogger in a best ball league. So here you go. Here you go. I'm done drinking bleach for the moment. I need a new deal. This one of the leagues I left because it felt like I was drinking bleach in that one. T-Rock has this league by the balls, man. This is a...
Got him.
I'll tell you one thing, though. This is a trade in which I know he didn't feel great about doing it, but it had to be made. Terry McLaurin straight up for Tyreek Hill. Wow.
From the current production standpoint, right? This is a good deal.
I'm not actually saying it's a bad deal for T-Rock. I'm saying how far we've come, man. Like, this is one of those things in Dynasty, and just, it's more so fantasy. Dynasty is obviously a big part of it because we're talking about the trades in Dynasty, but the fantasy season, everything can get thrown on its head. And that's what's happened here. Tyreek Hill right now, people are wondering, is he going to finish the season?
Yeah, that's a real thing. The part that worries the shit out of me, though, if, the Dolphins start clicking, they have looked decent since Tua's been back. The offense is night and day difference than when Tyler Huntley and Skylar Thompson are running this thing. So
yeah, Not even close.
Tyreek hasn't been abysmal, just hasn't been what we hoped for, what we wanted. 9 targets, 5 targets, 4 targets. That's not the greatest thing. And then this wrist. What if the wrist gets a little bit healthier, is feeling a little bit better, and he has one of those Tyreek Hill games like he did in week 1 where it's, wide receiver 4. Terry's nice and putting up fantasy points, but he doesn't have the ceiling right now of Tyreek, even though we may not actually see the ceiling of Tyreek. So this is, you got to put your chips down somewhere. I don't hate it. I think it's bold, but it could really pay off for him. There is that back door where next week's the week Tyreek Hill goes for a 40 burger. You're like, motherfucker.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I get it. All the points are 100% correct. I'm getting to the point, and I think most people are. You're not wrong. We could be looking back at 2 weeks like, man, why did we jump off the train? Like, he wasn't on IR. He wasn't out for the season. It's kind of feeling like it's being treated that way to me, though. 4 targets last week, but the only reason he was even relevant was a fucking touchdown. Here's the thing. Tua, since he's had Tyreek Hill, it has been a massive, massive part of Tua. Just let's force feed this guy. Let's get him the rock. 5 targets, 4 targets the last 2 weeks with a team that, like, they were winning versus the Rams the whole game, right? But their offense was struggling. You know what you do in that situation? If Tyreek's 100% right, listen, no, he's going to get the ball to 10. We're going to get a cheetah right now. This dude is not right. He's not practicing right now. He's there in attendance. I don't want to touch on this subject too much. But he's saying it really became a problem after the whole incident on him being arrested. And, in that situation, kind of looking at it, man, they weren't fucking around. His wrist may just not be recovering anytime in this season, period. Like, that's just what it kind of feels like. So Terry McLaurin doesn't have Tyreek Hill's his ceiling. But here's my thing with Tyreek Hill. If there's a world in which the ceiling is not to be had till next year, what the hell are you waiting for?
If I'm into Quietus, who's 3rd place in this league, right? Still looking up at 2 pretty good contenders in T-Rock and the guy who's undefeated, White Locust. I think I'm okay with taking this risk too. I like Terry, but Jesus Christ, like, I got to shoot for some moonshots here, right? Again, is there anything bigger as a moonshot than Tyreek at this point?
Yeah.
Doesn't feel safe, but
Terry,
shit, if this pays off for me.
No, I mean, it can pay off for you. I get you. The thing about it is with Tyreek, this is a guy that I feel like there's been a lot of talk about him possibly just walking away while he's still good enough to play in the NFL. So if you told me last year he was going to have 2K, but got hurt, and then this year he ends up getting hurt again, like, even while he's talented, I'm not saying he's going to retire next year or anything, but I'm not going to say he's not. I'm not going to say he's not the following year. Terry McLaurin, Mike, is feeling crusty or whatever, but isn't Jaden Daniels going to continue to improve? Like, Terry McLaurin to me is kind of being still slept on because is he 29? I think Terry McLaurin ain't going nowhere for the next 3 years. So realistically, like, I think the better play for the season is Terry, and I think in Dynasty I'd still rather have Tyreek, but I don't know that its tiers different anymore. It's just, I don't know that it is.
Yeah, the other thing, I mean, the Rams defense really just kind of took it to Miami. Even though Miami ended up winning the game, Rams were fucking inept on offense, but Tua didn't play very well, and they really just went with this quick screen game and tried to establish the fucking run, like the old Seahawks. So I want to believe there's brighter days ahead for Tyreek. Like, I'm not fully ready to hit the eject button yet, but I do understand if I'm T-Rock, dude. Like, I want some actual, like, solid things, especially as we get closer to the playoffs. But I get it for both sides. I think it was a good deal for both of them. And T-Rock gets to stack Terry with Jaden Daniels, who's already on his team. So There's the upside play for him.
Yeah, his team's loaded here. And this is one of those trades where I know T-Rock is... I know he didn't like making this trade, and I know that he did that because he doesn't give a shit. He's trying to win, no matter what it takes. Mr. Wonderful is back. If we were to have a trade show last week, let me just shout out to Mr. Wonderful. Mr. Wonderful would have been the featured trade. It would have been his trade after his trade after his trade. He would have had 3 of the 4, I think is what it was. So, Dak Prescott, Xavier Worthy, a 25 first from Matty Gomes, another patron. Shout out to Matty Gomes. And a 25 third, Mike. So this is the Bomb Squad League. Jennings and Burrow, Mike, or the Dak out for the season. 25 first and Xavier Worthy. Don't forget to sprinkle the third in there.
Nah, sorry, Matty Gomes. This is Mr. Wonderful side pretty solidly for me.
Okay.
Burrow's playing well and putting up points. Here's kind of the problem we had with, like, the first trade. It's a best ball league, Adam. And if anybody who, like, really taps into our stuff knows, Adam and I have been back and forth on the differences of best ball and lineup and how playoffs go and variance and, like, all that shit. But just generally speaking, right, without getting too much into it, I'm not going to say it's a lock or anything like that because we see lots of weird shit happen. But if you are a really good best ball team, variance doesn't really hit you as hard as it does in lineup.
Correct.
Because you have that cushion of your roster construction and other guys on your bench all of a sudden like, oh, well.
Well, it doesn't have to. You can roster construct to where the variance isn't as wide. Correct.
Right. Yep. Right. So just in general, good best ball teams at this point in the year are probably going to be good in the playoffs. And teams that have kind of been middling in best ball, probably going to be middling come playoffs, right? So
typically 100% correct. Yep, with you.
If I'm Mr. Wonderful in a best ball league and I see a team who's the 4th, 5th, 6th seed right now, that's kind of where the range of Matty Gomes is, and they're willing to give that first in, and that things could be the 106 or the 105, depending on how things shake out. I'm already rebuilding. You can have Joe Burrow. I'm going to punt to next year. I'm going to take Dak Prescott when he comes back fully healthy. I'm going to take an upside play in Xavier Worthy, and I'm going to take that first. Like, I'm going to take 3 firsts, essentially, for one quarterback that is actively making my draft pick worse by the minute and getting to some assets that are going to make mine better. And if I'm on the contending side, I'm not sending 3 fucking assets if I'm already kind of a middling team to really only get 1 asset back that could possibly help. Like, that is, it feels like a fool's errand.
Let me ask you this. The reason I think I'm in lockstep with all the things you said, I think when I look at the trade, the one reason I'm not quite as, I've already spotted, the reason I'm not quite as cool on it as you, I definitely agree with a lot of the points you made, and I do lean Mr. Wonderful side. I think the Xavier Worthy thing, I'm kind of getting ready to call not the asset that it once was. And I think maybe, I don't want to speak for you. Where are you at with Xavier?
Cooling on it, but I mean, it's still rookie year and we're still only in, we've seen 10 weeks of football at this point.
Yeah, I've seen 10 weeks of football, those from him, from a lot of guys. It feels this one. Go ahead.
We've been down this road with the Chiefs wide receiver as a rookie before.
Right.
Rashee Rice last year for the better part of the entire fucking season. Had some moments, but wasn't that exciting. And then what happened? Playoff run hit. Became a big fucking part of their offense. And at the beginning part of the season, I'm not saying it's the same thing, but we do this a lot with rookies where we're like 10 weeks in and we're like, I don't really fucking like it. And then the last like 3 or 4 weeks of the season or something in the playoffs, Cam Akers was another guy like this.
Sure. You
see something in the playoffs where you're like, damn, like they finally figured out how to get this guy involved. And then you're kicking yourself in the dick for selling him for, a mid to late second or whatever. You're like, I'm good. I was good on that guy. Fuck.
Yeah, I think
there's had low patience.
I do believe there's a big difference in the running back and the wide receiver position, meaning a guy that is not getting run. Trey Benson's probably this way too. Like, that guy, if he was given all the James Conner touches, I mean, fuck, dude. He doesn't, me and you agree his vision's terrible, but he could end up being a goddamn monster. To me, there's a lot of reasons with Xavier Worthy that are different than Rashee Rice. They continue to, after the bye week, not give him the targets. He's not, they brought in DeAndre Hopkins. All of a sudden, Travis Kelce's back. It's just, I have a shit ton of concerns about Xavier Worthy. Let me say that. And I will be the one, and you can, Mike, I know you'll be there to kick me in the dick if I'm wrong. So I'll take that. I'll take that risk. I'll put my fucking nuts on the table right now. Put it right here. Tell you Xavier Worthy for Juwan Jennings. I'll pivot to that fucking best ball. I'm fucking there. Fuck it. Fucking kill him. Get him the fuck out of here. Ship his ass the fuck out of here. The rest of the trade though is a little bit different. But I guess here's the thing, Mike. Let me ask you this. Let's just say me and you are disagreeing on this point, but let's just, for the sake of argument, if we took Xavier Worthy and Juwan Jennings out of the trade right now, would you send Dak a first and a third for Burrow in the best ball league? Yeah,
no, I don't really want to still do it with my own one. Like if I'm already middling, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no. I'm asking. I'm not saying that it's correct or that it's wrong. I'm just trying to say, let's agree that we disagree on this point and let's remove them so we can talk about it from this standpoint.
Yeah, that's fine. I would say it's more reasonable than. It is more reasonable than, because it is a big disagreement between you and me on Xavier Worthy.
Exactly.
Jennings, but
right.
It is more reasonable. The thing that gets me is, like you need something to replace Dak with, but I'm going to push my first in for this year, which in all honesty, I mean, he is one other bad injury away from being the fucking, the 105.
That's what I was going to say about it. Okay. His team is though, his bench is nice, man. Go look at his bench real quick on the
Oh yeah, I was checking it out.
Chuba, Rico, Bucky, Benson. Speaking of a guy that could pop, he's got Jennings now. Like, it's Juju. Another reason that he went to the wayside, but he's gotten in the way of Xavier Worthy. I think his bench is solid. I think his team is good. I don't know, like the reason I still lean Mr. Wonderful side is because I still believe that the upside probably lies in the first and the third not even the third. Forget it. The upside lies in the possibility of that first being 108, 107, right? Yeah, well, even 109 in this class probably still fine. The one thing about Burrow stuff, though, this is one of those trades that I think it kind of does. I'd much rather be in Mr. Wonderful's position. Okay, let me put it like that. However, I guess if you had a team like Matty Gomes, Burrow's one of the only assets that's like, man, he's been kind of cooking, and this team's their back's probably not even against the wall anymore. They're kind of fucked. So as long as he's playing, I think they're going to be chucking the ball all over the yard. I think he gives them a puncher's chance, but the problem is if you don't get the bye, which at this point you're 6-4, there's a 9-1 and two 8-2 teams ahead of you. You don't get the bye, it's going to be tough for you to win 3 games in a row with this roster. So I want to be in Mr. Wonderful's position in this trade. I'd rather have that. I get it from Matty Gomes' side. It is only the 125 first. It's different, at least, than like in your trade. Where if you told me I had to do this, I'm not sending my 26 as well, dude. Fuck that bullshit. Like, no.
Exactly. It is a little bit more palatable when you break it down, like the Worthy Jennings thing, take it out. The one thing I will say, though, I talked a lot from the Matty Gomes side. Perfect for Mr. Wonderful. No fucking qualms whatsoever, because this also gave him his 6th first in 2025. Like,
no, 100%. I mean,
just infinity stoning the shit out of this thing.
Yeah, Mr. Wonderful, I would say he's like a 80-90% trade submitter guy. You know, like more often than not, it makes sense. We get what he's doing. Every now and again, we get a chance to dunk on him. We take it. But ho hum for Mr. Wonderful, another good deal for him. You know, shout out to the valedictorian, as Corey got to decide it this year. Joey Cheese Sticks. Let's see if his trade as bad as the play he gave Mike the other week.
Well, his locks of the week are 2 and 4, so I should have been used to it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I should have known.
But Mike, it's kind of the whole point is we all have our player bias. We talk about being player agnostic, but we all have our player biases. Mike and I can be player agnostic as we want, but we'll still have we'll get ready to fight over Xavier Worthy. We'll get ready to fight over any player we want to. So let me ask you this one, Mike. You and I are both cooler on Josh Downs than a lot of the community, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
We're both a lot higher on Zay, I think, even than a lot of the community.
Yep.
Okay. But now Garrett Wilson in a second going to Joey Cheesestick, or Zay and Josh Downs in a lineup league where we're starting 11. That's Patron too. You got Garrett on this one? Okay.
I got Garrett on this one. Zay Flowers is really good. Made the buy list. I still love Zay Flowers even after, he wasn't like spectacular in that Thursday night shootout last week. Right?
He was the opposite of spectacular. He was solid at best.
Yeah. But I still love Zay Flowers to death. But Garrett Wilson is fucking on one. Like a mission. Apparently he heard all the criticism about the sleeves and having no swag. And Devontae Adams is there to fucking kill him, and Aaron Rodgers is cooked, and this offense is junk, and the Jets are shit. Garrett Wilson's like, man, fuck all that. I got this.
Yeah.
All right. We may be cooked as a team, but I'm going to get mine. All right. You guys are going to remember I'm Garrett fucking Wilson. I heard you talking shit about me, Mike and Adam, and just kiss my ass. So Garrett Wilson's been on one. So I will take Garrett Wilson straight up over Zay Flowers, even though I love Zay Flowers to death.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of hit the point right on the nail on the head. We're cooler on Josh Downs than a lot of the community. So if you just toss me a second, like I'm already feeling like I got a little bit of a G-dub over Zay Flowers.
Okay.
A late second for Josh Downs, not the greatest, but cancels out with the dub I got on the first one. And it's a lineup, so I'm going to start Garrett Wilson every single week and not think twice about it.
Yeah. I think, Mike, I think what's holding me back I'm just kind of torn on this trade. I don't have like a big decided winner. The reason I'm a little torn, if you told me the lineup start 9, I'm Garrett Wilson fucking in a huge way. Lineup start 11's like just enough starters to where, as cool as I am on Downs, like I don't feel bad at all putting him in my flex spot. Like I really don't. So man, it's tough. It's tough. This is tough. I think like if you told me the market of this league, Josh Downs for a late second, it's just a complete smash. All right. I can kind of see the Kasi side. I do think though, if I pick Joey, just if you tell me right now, I have to pick a winner, I'm taking Joey Cheesestick side because I think I can find a way to make this 25 second, who, even if it's late, and package something else in this league and go get a player similar to Josh Downs in production. And now all of a sudden I'd rather have still in a vacuum Garrett Wilson over Zay Flowers. That's kind of the reason I say that, right? Maybe I don't even have to touch this second. Can I go get Juwan Jennings from the last trade? Can I do something like that to where maybe, yeah, you'd rather have Josh Downs than Jennings like one for one, but is the production going to be really that different? Like that's what I'm probably trying to do if I make the Joey Cheese Stick side of this trade. I'm trying to just plug that whatever other spot, if I have one needed still, where I lost Josh Downs, I can probably find a way to get production close to his, similar, not the same, not necessarily the same, but very close. And now it's like, damn, you went from Zay to Garrett Wilson. That typically is pretty hard to do, that type of an up tier to a Garrett Wilson type in any dynasty league.
Yeah, the thing about Downs that always just has worried me this season. He is a fine player, right? But I felt like people got a little bit too excited for him, and it was a guy that had a couple red flags for me, right? A lot of his production's coming when Joe Flacco's in. You know what happens when they go back to Anthony Richardson, which, fucking, I don't want to be the guy to tell you I fucking told you so, but they're going back to Anthony Richardson, so I fucking told you so. And he's doing it in a season where Michael Pittman's been banged up with his back. Like, that's a guy who just got a massive contract, who was a massive fucking target hog last year with or without Anthony Richardson. So you're doing this all in like a confluence of perfect storm scenario. I'm going to be a little less optimistic about like what I see. We kind of expected you probably should be. If you're not excelling when you have this going on, then we got a giant fucking problem and everybody should have hit the eject button. So to actually do it when you're supposed to, I'm not that excited about it. Like it's fine. It's fine. It's not great. It's not terrible. I don't understand the massive like rise in why people are all over this guy, but it is what it is. I've been wrong on this kind of thing before. It happens.
Sure. No, I get it.
I've also been very right on this kind of thing. And, like next season when it's the Anthony Richardson show and a new fucking coaching staff and a fully healthy Michael Pittman and Downs is getting 4 targets a game, would be like, try to warn you at least.
Right.
Try to warn you.
I do think what I've seen, to your point, Pittman's not really been healthy all year. And that's been beneficial to him. I think the one person for sure that would be benefited if they were to have kept Flacco, which they should not have, they made the correct decision, would have been Downs. I do believe Flacco's better for Downs. Just the style in which Downs is going to play and catch football, a bunch of targets, Flacco's going to be more beneficial to him right now. That's just the way I view it. I know people don't necessarily view it the same way, and I do think what I've been watching, though, Mike, from this season, Josh Downs is a guy that just gets open, man. And there's a part of me that really, really wants to see and hopes to see if A-Rich can take a step forward. That I think Downs should be helping to unlock A-Rich. Like, A-Rich should be using Downs to really get himself some confidence and get the ball to Downs, get yourself going, see the ball go in the basket type of a thing in basketball, right? And then now, one thing, Shane Steichen doesn't do A-Rich any favors. Like, every time I'm watching, this dude's throwing the ball fucking 10 plus yards downfield in like kind of highly contested, tough throws, man. Like, that's not good for A-Rich. As much as he does have an arm, we need to see this guy make some easy throws and develop his confidence, I think, a little more. But all that to say,
to help his confidence.
Not having Flacco be the starter, probably.
That too. But I've also seen like at least 3 or 4 times Downs is wide open, and A-Rich puts it on him, and Downs drops motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like,
that's kind of crazy. That's tough. That's tough to see. Another thing that I think has been great for Josh Downs is this Adonai Mitchell thing. Like, I'll give you I'll tell you Xavier Worthy's. I'll give you. I was fighting for Adonai Mitchell, Mike. Shit ain't happening. Shit ain't happened. So,
last week,
Josh Downs I think Josh Downs is a thing. He's a real thing. I think he's extremely talented. So I'm cooler on Josh Downs just because I feel like I'm seeing his value in Dynasty get way too high. Like, I'm not there, but for a late second, that's why this one's tough for me. I think this is a really good trade in lineup start 11, Mike. I really do. I think this is a good ass trade.
Yeah, I think Josh Downs for us, you and me. I don't want to speak for you, but I kind of get this sense after doing this content with you for as long as we have together. We jumped in on this kind of profile, and we were super excited about it with Jahan Dotson. And we got our fucking hearts torn out.
How'd that go?
And then last year, we were ready to do it again with Jaden Reed, but we had our apprehension. We were like, and it has been a mixed bag with Jaden Reed for a while now. Like, some good, some bad. And then I think like now we're looking at it with Josh Downs and we're both kind of the same thing. Like, I feel like we've been down this fucking road a few times already. Like, I'll let y'all do it. Right? We'll just stand back and watch. And if it really does become a solidified fucking thing, then we'll buy in. We'll buy in
at full boat. Yep.
And we'll give you the bullshit excuse about how, well, we always liked Josh Downs. We just had some concerns, but it's good to see that those have been put to the side.
But you know what the part about that's actually like, the last piece of that's actually realistically smart, Mike, is the downside versus the upside there. All right, if I have to go pay the full boat price of Josh Downs when he becomes him, you go do it. You don't want to end up losing too many guys that turn into fucking complete pumpkins. Those ones tend to hurt you more. Koopa. Mike, Koopa's back on the trade show. McCaffrey's back in Frisco. Remember how week one, first of all, week one, we're going to be playing him. Monday Night Football, Jordan Mason spilled the beans. Whoops. I knew I was going to start Thursday. Week 8 comes and goes. Nothing. Finally, we get him back in week 10. We're going to be careful with his snaps. 88 fucking percent. We are careful with this. Get the fuck out of here. I will never again, Mike, take what Kyle Shanahan or this Frisco team gives me at face value again. Remember when they invested Trey Lance and it's his team? How quickly did that change? Get out of here. Coach speak with Frisco is ridiculous. Sorry for the tangent, but I had to. Christian McCaffrey, Calvin Ridley going to Koopa, or Pittman with back issues, 25 first, 25 second of Koopa's, and Ray Davis going to Nick C, 12-17. This is the Cinema Dynasty League lineup, start 10. 12 teams, Mike. Where are you at here? Do you like Koopa's side or Nick's side?
It was an upside gamble with Christian McCaffrey, and I think in the first week it paid off. Now, we got a little bit of hindsight, too, because I don't know if Koopa actually won last week. You know, a lot of people had bad ones. I know his record, again, kind of the theme of this fucking show, pushing your first and your second in, sitting in 6th place.
Mike, Mike, this is what I'm talking about at the start of the show. Right now, part of the reason the trades aren't happening is you and I are like in situations probably trying to trade to teams. Here, take some rebuilder assets. What are we watching right now on the trade show? Those teams are sending they're trying to go contend. The option to find teams that are rebuilding is so minuscule. This is one of the things that I used to preach on 4D. We're not doing it, you and I, anymore, where I'm not on it. So this is one of the things I preach, though, in Dynasty is if you can be the one that decides, man, like, what's the shit league? The OG shit league that I've actually probably ruined, frankly.
Mm-hmm. You've destroyed that league.
Well, how did that happen? I was the one person that said, I'll go rebuild right now. I'll let all you guys go compete. And when that happens, when you create what I talked about with that grocery store thing or whatever it is, when you create a monopoly, you're fucked. You fucked the whole... Everybody's trying to still go win. Mike, the fact that all these running backs are healthy has allowed teams, I think, to believe that they're still very much in the mix. I think it's a huge theme of this season.
I'd say one of the weirdest things was just because it's hindsight now. Like, looking at it, I'm like, God, this is another one of them fucking teams, you know? Like, borderline even make it the playoffs, pushing in draft picks. Can it pay off? Yeah. I mean, it's a lineup, too. So, unlike some of these other ones in Best Ball, Adam, there's more variance. So, sneaking in as the 5th or 6th seed.
Sure.
You can go on a run. You can go on a run in lineup. A lot easier than you can in best ball leagues. But again, I don't know if I'm ballsy enough to do this. I'm kind of looking at it going like, nah. Yeah. We'll see what I have is, if what I have is enough, great. On the other side though, again, if I'm Nick 12-17, like I fucking do this all day of the week. You take CMC, you take the risk. I'm going to bet against you with your first and your second. You can have Calvin Ridley because I think when Michael Pittman's fully healthy, I'm taking Michael Pittman straight up over Calvin Ridley in 2025, and it's not going to be a real question for me. So
sure.
And then I get Ray Davis, whatever Ray Davis becomes in the future, if he's anything. I mean, he's a little something right now, but maybe he gets a little bit bigger role or whatever. Like, he's looked good at times. So I like the rebuilder side. I don't know if I'm Coop, and listen, Coop makes some bold moves, man, that pay off. So I'm not going to say this won't pay off for him. I can definitely see a scenario where it will, but
sure,
I don't think I got the stones to do this one.
I will admit, Mike, this is where, like, for me, I'm willing to take a lot of, especially when you have a portfolio. I'm looking on the lab, and Coop has increased his portfolio a good bit this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at this, it's risky. This is a big risk. But I also feel like it's the risk you got to take because of the fact that if I'm in Superflex, Mike, and I got Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson right now, that's the fucking risk I'm taking. All right, let me go get a hammer and CMC. I got Kyron Williams still. I've got Calvin Ridley starting to fucking ball out of control since Nuke Hopkins has been removed from this team, right? Like, there's enough pieces on this roster that make me say in a lineup start 10, yeah, I get the gamble, buddy. Like, definitely not for the faint of heart. Like, this is not the... You could make this trade and very well not win this league. That's extremely plausible. But man, you give me CMC, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson on a weekly basis as it is in a lineup start 10, that's going to be tough to fucking beat. So I get it 100%. Mike, I think the reason I say it's also pretty palatable is if he does have to avoid, I think he's right here on the fence at 5-5. I think he's going to make the playoffs. But if he, let's say this week after making this trade or the following week, like CMC aggravates something, all of a sudden he can't go. Like, you're 2 injuries away from missing the playoffs too. That's what I think is probably the tough part. But if you tell me that he makes the playoffs, let's say these are 108s or 109s or 110s, this was totally worth it. And the Ridley piece, I think, is huge. To me, Ridley is also a player in lineup start 10. It's like, damn, I want this guy all of a sudden. So I 100% agree though for Nick C. It's like, you've been waiting on McCaffrey sell window. This was fucking it, buddy. Cooper came and he gave you everything you're going to get. So go ahead and take it now, you know?
Exactly. The one downside of Coop's team and the warp benefits him going on so hard on running backs. The quarterback warp has been down. You know, that's pretty universal across most leagues. Wide receivers are pretty far down there, but his wide receivers have been so disappointingly shitty for him. And even though they're down so far, you still got to start 3 of these fucking turd burgers. Now getting Calvin Ridley on his team, like he's starting for him. I mean, it's Amari Cooper, it's Calvin Ridley, and it's Deebo Samuel. And then it's just shit burgers, absolute fucking shit burgers. So though, I mean, like he is built very fragile at the wide receiver. He is one fuck up or Amari Cooper still continue to be in a bitch away from starting
for sure
Ray McLeod.
Yeah.
In a lineup league.
Yeah.
Like, the only fucking lineup league I think I'll start Ray McLeod in every week with any confidence is Scott Fishbowl because that motherfucker returns kicks and gets like 17 points every week.
Yeah. I won't lie and tell you I didn't start Ray McLeod twice out of desperation in the league, but I didn't feel good about it. You know what I mean? Like,
you should.
But I will say, you know what I'm also finding, and I believe, Mike, the more it's kind of I'm not going down that rabbit hole. But the more I use warp, okay, and like the more I lean into warp, I find myself being very clearly like looked at and stared at, like, what is wrong with this dude? Like, what is wrong with him? Because you know what warp's been telling me, Mike? What's the difference between Ray McLeod and wide receiver fucking 35 in a lineup start 10? Who gives a fucking shit? So if I have to start him, I don't really care all that much. I don't know if you hear my daughter going crazy right now. She's at the door just banging on it.
She's ready, man. She's ready for dad to be done.
She is. She's ready for dad to be done. She's also like, hey, listen, man, Cooper, what are you doing? Like, you're risking too much here. I think it's a good trade for both sides. I think the way Coop was playing, and the reason I talk about, again, the portfolio, the last point that I didn't really expound upon was if you're in a portfolio like this, I'm even more willing to lean into these risks because if it doesn't pay off, it doesn't pay off. Like, that's why I got all these other leagues. Like, I think the risk is it's not a trade that probably wins you more often than not, but that risk can 100% pay off. So if I'm looking at my portfolio, yeah, man, I'm all right. I'll go ahead and do this here. And sometimes I think, Mike, you also need to take risks like that. Speaking of my daughter up there, it's like hands on the stove. She's eventually going to put her fingers on the stove when I tell her not to, right? Like you got to go out and get burnt for yourself and find out how that feels to make appropriate changes. So anything else on that trade before we get to Zach Willard, man? Zach Willard's, that's my dog. He's become a part of the community in a big way. I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see what this is. I see Patrick Mahomes trade. He gets Mahomes here. I was going to say, Mike, T-Rock sent me an offer during the show we just recorded, so I'm sure he had no idea, and my disk space is getting low on here, so I gotta clear some out. But speaking of disk space getting low, he was trying to take everything I had, Mike. He wanted me to send 2 firsts and 2 seconds on the team I'm 8th place in for fucking Mahomes.
Yeah, okay, buddy. Good job, T-Rock. That'll fix everything for you.
T-Rock, I have no brick and mortar. I've got nothing, and you want to take everything from me. It feels like that movie 300. Anyway, this price, though, is not the same, Mike, frankly, for Mahomes. Curious what your thoughts are, though, here. Dak Prescott injured out for the year. Cade Hutton, Jordan Addison in 3rd, and you get Mahomes and Freiermuth. I really give a shit about Freiermuth, but lineup start 10. What says you?
This is Mahomes isn't playing well, and I kind of talked about this the other night. I don't know if Patrick Mahomes would be ranked so high if his name wasn't Patrick Mahomes.
No.
And carry that reference amongst the Dynasty community. But it is what it is. Like, he's still going to have that. Dak isn't going to do anything for you. I'm not a big believer in K. Dot, and I know some people are. I don't trust any tight end that doesn't play with gloves. Fucking terrible. And Jordan Addison has been a major, like the only thing that can salvage. Yeah, the only thing that can salvage Jordan Addison at this point is JJ McCarthy, and you really got to hope it's JJ McCarthy. But JJ McCarthy comes from a system and an offense where he played more conservative and, not pushing the ball extreme amounts down the field. And he is mobile, or was mobile. We hope he still is after this knee. It's a pretty cheap price for Mahomes. Otten and Freiermuth, let's be honest, for me, cancel the fuck out, if not favoring Freiermuth. So it's Dak and an injured Dak, a disappointing Addison in the third for Patrick Mahomes. I'll fucking make that deal every day of the week, even though Mahomes isn't what we thought or hoped or was.
Yeah.
Once upon a time.
Yeah. This is one of those where, like, Mahomes, when I see Mahomes being acquired, I'm ready to dunk on it because of everything you kind of talked about with Mahomes here. But I'm looking, it's like, okay, this is one of the rare scenarios where Mahomes is going for what the name cachet isn't, right? If you told me Mahomes' name wasn't on that, I mean, I love that he's got Patrick from fucking SpongeBob as the sleeper logo for him now. It's pretty awesome because that's what he feels like. He feels more like Patrick from fucking SpongeBob. He's a mid quarterback right now. The one thing I think for Zach Willard, though, we've talked about this. You've talked about this, at least with the quarterbacks and the way, I shouldn't even say you've talked about it. You've also walked the walk. Like, you bought all the quarterbacks despite what people think about the position. Like, I believe at some point there's going to be a changing the guard, so to speak, where quarterbacks unleash again. I don't know when we'll see it. I don't know how long it's going to take. It might be 3 years, but Mahomes is going to be around for 3 years, 6 years, 8 years. There's probably going to be a window in which, when we look back on this trade as well, not only was it solid for right now, when Mahomes gets unleashed again and you're like, oh my gosh, I got what? K. Dotton, going to be worthless for sure down the road at some point, right? Jordan Addison, Dak Prescott, a third. This is probably one of those trades where, like, you got Mahomes at a cheap enough price where it's fine to trade this for Mahomes, but then I don't know if you'll have him on your team by the time this comes around, but 2 or 3 years from now, Mahomes with Rashee Rice back, maybe if I'm wrong, Xavier Worthy, right? Like, maybe the weapons are there and it's like, holy crap, Mahomes is back. This was a landslide in Willard's favor later, but for right now, I think it's just it's a piece where Mahomes actually went for a price that's palatable, and I don't think that happens very often.
I had just a sneaking suspicion maybe this was done before Dak Prescott was injured, but no, it wasn't. Unfortunately, because here's the other thing, just looking it up with the context on the lab, Zach Willard is dead last, like, and there's not draft picks being exchanged here. So even then, like, Dak Prescott being injured didn't matter to him. Jordan Addison sucking didn't matter to him. From a dynasty value standpoint, I still would do this even if I'm in last place.
I was just going to say, I don't even need to be a contender to make this trip.
Here's the one I don't understand is BC Blue is currently on the fringe of making the playoffs.
Bowing out.
And I would understand if you wanted to bow out, but here's the thing that drives me absolutely fucking ludicrous. He doesn't have his first or second. Why am I taking on shitburgers and making that pick that I traded away? Like why am I not doing everything in my power without mortgaging even more future? You know what I mean? Like, without pushing 26 in, to not at least, like, fuck it, I already made my bed. Let me fuck around and see if I can upset somebody in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Let me make the playoffs and try to fuck over the guy who's got my pick even more. Why wave the white flag for fucking this? There is no way in fuck if I'm on the other side. This is egregious if I'm on the other side. This is stupid. I don't get it at all. Well,
I was going to say the only way is if, like, the problem is there's no way you're 4D and Dak and Cade and these guys. Like, that was my initial thought. It's like, maybe he knows I can sell Dak for more and the person that's to fizzle in this league, the fizzle of this league, right? Like, maybe I can find that.
Maybe the Cowboys fan.
Yeah. But, like, I don't know. There's no way you're finessing this package of, it's the least finessable assets in Dynasty right now.
Yikes. I don't understand it from his standpoint.
Yeah, it's a big dub for Zach Willard, man. And the crazy part was when I just see it on the surface, I'm like, I'm ready to just dunk on the Mahomes side. It's just the way
you're conditioned.
Yeah, at this point, I'm like, because any trade I get from Mahomes is like, bruh, the Mahomes price is over. That whole trade show from long ago, it's fucking dead. It's completely dead. It's only about a year ago, by the way. It's pretty amazing to think about.
We're buying Mahomes in this economy?
Fuck. No. All right.
Like if the cost is this, I'm buying Mahomes too. Fuck it.
Yeah, that's why, you know what's crazy though, Mike? That reminds me, I'm out here. I didn't realize there was a third line, John Adams. That's one of the things about being player agnostic though, and being what's tough about just not having context, and why we want to do a trade show that's going to go for an hour or set with only 7 trades, right? Because context is everything. If I sat here and told you don't buy Mahomes right now in Dynasty, just blanket statement, you won't make that trade. That means don't make that trade. If you're, able to read between the lines, it's like, yeah, obviously you should make that trade. But that's why we have context, Mike. That's why we talk about different things. Because even if I get 100% of trades from Mahomes to me that are instant reject, that's a trade you should take. It's every player has its sell and buy point. That's kind of what makes it hard to do a list of buy and sells. Is like, well, fuck, man, if Mahomes is going for that, I'm buying Mahomes. He's not on my sell list anymore, Mm-hmm. So let's go about this trade. Stroh, 1439. Travis Kelce, Kyren Williams in a second, or Chris Olave in a pair of firsts, Queen of 13, and Stroh's own first in 25. Travis Kelce, Kyren in a second, or Olave in a couple of firsts, Mike.
This is gonna need some context too, because this is a
Big
hefty
time.
fucking price.
Big time. I need to know a lot about this Queen of 13.
This is rough. If it is, holy shit! I'm looking it up. Thanos of fantasy.
Yeah.
This real person. What a name. Thanos of fantasy. Username not found. That's great.
What about Stroh? Let's try Stroh. Stroh 1439.
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
No wonder the lab was like tripping out because this Thanos of fantasy is in like 93 fucking leagues.
Okay. Damn.
Cooking.
This
What's his league name? John Adams.
John
Jesus.
Adams. Yeah. I was going to say, you got 90.
John Adams. The president?
Exactly. That's what it has to be, right?
It's John Adams with 3 in parentheses. Holy Santa Claus shit. Thanos of fantasy is terrible in this league.
Okay. I mean, I figured, right?
The worst.
Like, you're getting Olave in 2 first. You're ready
Stroh,
to go out.
10-0. Stroh's 10-0.
Okay,
Undefeated.
so that 25 first, you can call 110 to 112, right?
Yep. And Queen of 13 is currently in 4th place.
Okay, so it's a more middle to late first.
Yep, with a decent enough team.
Okay.
Puka, AJ Brown, Kyler, Mahomes, Drizzy, Drake London, George Kittle.
I like the 0.8 tight end premium. This is one of those leagues that whoever made this is certainly in a lot of leagues. Like, you're tinkering with some shit, my friend. Like,
I was gonna say maybe they hate odd numbers. Like my wife kind of hated that
there you go.
for a while. But there's half PPR, so
right. It's just normal half. Yeah, exactly. You're onto it.
And 0.1 point per carry. So
those are too standard for 0.8 tight end premium.
Yeah.
0.8 tight end premium. What the hell is going on?
Fuck.
Anyway, that's a complete different tangent. My guy, I'll say this: if you're, let me say this by asking you a question. If you're 10-0, are you willing to overpay to lock in Kelce and Kyren and just whatever the fuck this second you can turn into to go win a title? Or is this just way too much?
I would say I'm willing to do it. My biggest problem, and one thing not to be overlooked here, that 25-second that he got back, you're swapping.
It's a late first. I was just going to say, I hope you hit it, because that's a late first and an early second. That makes the entire trade a lot different, honestly.
You're swapping just a few picks. So like that makes it a little bit more palatable. I will say I understand it. I think it's reasonable. I get it. My only issue I always have with this, and me with how I like to hold draft picks up until the last possible fucking minute just to give myself that much insurance, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's that big of a home run slam dunk. Like Travis Kelce and Kyren Williams aren't so fucking good that this was an offer I couldn't pass up and I had to push those picks in. I think there's a very similar deal in fucking 3 weeks for essentially this. And I could still get very similar players that could help me push all in for the playoff run, the championship run. So in general, I'd probably still hold.
Yeah, I get it. I do think this is one of those where league market, it's going to determine everything for me in a league like this. Because, Mike, if me sending at 10-0 my first with my name on it, Stroh 1439, is going to trade for exactly what fucking that 25-second with Thanos of Fantasy is going to trade for. Like, if my league's going to allow me in that league market to trade those two things like they're not much different, fuck, man, I'll make this trade in a heartbeat. The biggest difference, though, is if my league market's not that way, Mike. One says a first and one says a second. And I'm in plenty of leagues where it's like, dude, that is humongously different as far as if I'm putting it in an offer. If I put an offer together, even with my own pick, Raptor 1523 first, that gets me to a totally different conversation than, the roster baiter second that's clearly is a, no-win team. So shout out to Cody. We know his teams are dog shit. So
Golly. You gotta fucking kill the guy.
I had to ankle grab roster baiter out there before the show was over. That I think is the biggest thing about this trade to me, really, Mike, is I get it 100% what you're doing to go get Kyron and Kelsey. I'm higher on Kyron, I think, than you are by a little bit. I don't think it's egregious where we're at different on that player. But I think the biggest part of this is the second and the first in your market, what it says. If your market's going to fuck you because you have a second versus a first, I'm not doing this trade right now.
Right. Chris Olave with the injury or Travis Kelsey on the contending team?
With this 10-0 team, I'll take Kelsey. We're at that point in the year where I'm willing to make that pivot. Yeah, if I was 2-0, and let's even say that I knew that Olave is going to have a bad year and he's going to have a lot of injury problems with concussions, right? Something like that. I wouldn't do that then. We're at the point now where I'm like, listen, Chris, man, like you, Ohio State guy and all, but I'm willing to sacrifice you to the Wolves. I mean, if you're a rebuilder, though, fuck. It's so hard to move Kelsey on a rebuilder. Like, that's an easy deal to take the Olave side on a rebuilding team, I think.
Understandable.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'd say, listen, it's very reasonable, a reasonable deal. Like I said, my thing is just timing. I don't know if there's a trade deadline in this league. I don't know when it is, if there is one. Like you said, market comes into play. I get it. That may or may not be down there. But the one thing I do know, as I keep holding out, and if there's a later trade deadline that's even in the playoffs, that more and more teams become knocked out and they're like, fuck it, what am I doing for 25? Who's got draft pick though? Like, there's nothing for me to fucking play for anymore. Like, everything becomes open as far as me trading shit away. So more and more players actually become available as teams actually officially get eliminated. Yeah,
that point's true. I think the one thing for me when I'm looking at it though, Mike, is that as I'm thinking about this, it's kind of hard to explain, but essentially, right, I think the reality is most leagues that I've seen, we are in the teams and people that have teams in a league that has a playoff trade deadline in the playoffs. Those are very few and far between. I think most people's deadline and the large majority of dynasty leagues is coming up in, week 14, basically, right?
Right. But let's fast forward 4 more weeks, right?
Sure.
I'm just throwing out there's a guy in 7th place.
Yep.
What if he loses the next 2 weeks, right? So he's fucking mathematically eliminated, right? Sleeper puts a little star on the people who lock it up. All of a sudden, he's fucking mathematically eliminated, right? Mm-hmm. The 6 seeds are already locked up. This guy loses a couple games in the next 2 weeks. This is a guy sitting here with Saquon Barkley. You know what I mean? And you and I talked about on the AMA the other day about Saquon's, playoff schedule and some of the matchups against some of the cupcakes that he has during that time 100%. And what he's already done. I'd kick myself in the fucking balls if that was like, the dude was like, yeah, man, I'd take a first for Saquon. I'm fucking out of it. You can have an older running back, enjoy for the playoff run, that kind of thing. Like, if that was a deal that was even remotely available versus having Kyron Williams, I'd be fucking pissed and furious that a few weeks ago I sent that pick away.
No, I get that. I just think I'm not saying that you won't have a deal become available in the next 3 weeks if you hold on, right? Because right now we're basically going to week 11's happening today, right? So we're looking at 12, 13, and then all of a sudden 14. You got to make the deal before the week starts typically, or actually I forget now. We play in so many playoff ones. It's like I don't have to worry about it. Is it as soon as week 14 is finished, or is it once the games start? I forget how Sleeper does it.
Oh, for the trade deadline?
Yeah.
It's midnight of the last game of that.
So you have through week 14. That's what I was actually thinking about that. Yeah.
It's sometime we talked about this on an AMA too, like trying to lock it down. It's almost midnight Eastern. It's somewhere between. For me, it's always been like I've seen it. I've actually been awake, trying to send deals out, and it's real goofy. But yeah, that Monday night of that last game, it is usually like sometime for me. It's like 11 Central to midnight, somewhere in there. Then it flips, and it's like that was it. That was the last one. Now you're fucked.
Yeah, the one thing I was gonna say is I'm looking at this league and so Saquon. And then, that would be the one guy threading the needle, I think. Because the reality is I'll take Kyron over this team here that has Jacobs and Najee, Pollard and Swift. Here's the truth. And the crazy part about it is, Mike, now speaking of market again, you know what this guy's team name is? No deals. Yeah, I'm sure he's giving you fucking Barkley for a first, this fucking asshole. Get the fuck out of here. No, I'm not saying it's not a good point. I'm saying this guy's team name is No Deals in Dynasty. What kind of a cuck are you? Come on.
Yeah.
By the way, he has Barkley, Brees, and Achane. If I could get any one of those players as opposed to Kyron, I'm with you. So it just seems like he might have a little mini running back horde that he ain't fucking trading because of his team name. But no, they're good actionable points. I think if you're 10-0 though, and this is a trade that doesn't really. If you played in this league for a while and you have a team like this team's fucking great, dude. You got Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen. One of the things about the teams, you can say whatever you want, good or bad, about the super flex and the quarterback position. One of the teams that I know is going to be pretty locked and loaded when I look at Lamar and Hurts, like we saw on that other team. I got Josh Allen, and if you got 2 of the 4 or 5 QBs, man, I'm kind of all right, you're ready to go. So if this deal is few and far between, I get it. I definitely think you got good points about you could have possibly waited, but I think that's more so understanding your league specifically, because maybe those deals don't become available. But if they do, if you know that there's probably a real possibility in 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, that you're going to have 3 buyers as opposed to 1, it goes back to the point I made earlier. You better off waiting a little bit and see if you're not shopping only at one store,
Yep. See if there's a little bit out there. And just for the record, it's Hy-Vee and Fairway in Iowa. Those are the 2 juggernauts.
There we go. See?
Juggernauts.
They're out there. They're out there waiting to see the other person's coupon page as soon as it comes out for the week and fucking figure out where they're slashing prices. I love it. I love it.
Fairway meat department, top notch.
Ooh.
Greatest meat in the whole state. Sorry, Hy-Vee.
Is it
but at Hy-Vee, there's a helpful smile in every aisle.
Damn, that's a marketing one. That's marketing 101 right there.
It's marketing 1, and they got Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce to be their spokesperson because it's also a Midwest, Missouri, Kansas.
Yeah. They got some money at their disposal. They got both them guys on there. No,
Hy-Vee out here cooking.
What I was going to ask you about is that a butcher? The other one? Do they do their own butchering?
Yep. They got their own meat departments in every Fairway that I've ever been into.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Whenever I eventually make my way out to Iowa, we're going to check that out, buddy. Because I'm a sucker for the real good butcher plate. Oh my gosh, dude, that's some good stuff.
There's a few things I got to get you to try when you come out here. One's a Vegas dog. I don't know why it's called a Vegas dog, and was made in Iowa.
It's an Iowa thing called the Vegas dog? Let's go.
Yeah. So Fairway makes them. You got to ask for them special. They used to be in the meat counter the whole time, but they take this big, foot-long fucking hot dog, all beef hot dog, good one, right?
Love it. Yeah.
They slice that fucker down the middle.
Oh.
Fill it up with high temp cheese, and then they take this real thick bacon and they just wrap it around the whole fucking thing. So you throw
it's basically it's actually like cheese infused almost because the bacon's around it. Oh.
You throw one of them fuckers on the grill and you just cook it up. I mean, the hot dog's it's hot dog. You eat that shit raw if you want, but you cook that bacon up, crisp it up, and you got that high temp cheese in there. And you put it in a bun. You better bring a bib.
I was gonna say not just that. That sounds like one of those is dangerous. You better make sure it's not too hot when you go to take a bite, because that shit could be, that cheese fucking burn the shit out of you, right?
You be cooking. It's you're gonna clog an artery or two. So if you got heart problems, stay away. But I've enjoyed a few of those over my lifetime.
It's like you eat a Vegas dog or you eat a whole block of Velveeta cheese. You're doing the same thing, fucking.
Basically. Might as well fry up a pound of bacon and just eat that too.
There you go. Take all the grease with it. But speaking of grease, you want to show us the grease you're selling to your league mates this time of year when I don't get it, Mike. The last point I'll make with Dynasty is I'm disheartened. I feel like I've been just talking to fucking walls. Like, does no one listen? I got all these teams that have not really the greatest chance to win, now removing their future. I guess they at least waited till week 10. They did their best version of waiting. Like like the restaurant waiting. Sometimes you gotta show them the bat wing, fucking
brain. They just can't help themselves sometimes. I think that's the problem.
You can't. This time of year, everybody wants to go win a title, even the teams that really ain't going to go win one. I love John Adams, by the way, that has the president. I'm still looking at this on the lab. It's got the president's logo on it. I guess if you're in 93 leagues, Mike, I guess you can just start naming them whatever the fuck you want,
Oh my God, I feel like such a fucking idiot. Education system's failing me. That's why there's a 3 in parentheses too for the third.
The third president. Well, I didn't see the logo till just now as I was looking through it, and yeah, you're right, but it's okay. It's
fuck.
Well, one strike for Iowa in the Iowa department.
Yeah,
I guess
I'm down one.
It's okay. Ohio fucking. I'll give you one. I'm sure a layup here pretty soon. If you want your deals featured, though, you want to show us the grease you're selling to your league mates, make sure you go down here, patreon.com/South Harmon. Even if you don't come on, honestly, the crazy part is when I promote the Patreon, it feels like I'm doing it for the trade show and like being a part of the trade show. I'm not trying to dismiss that. That's not the best part of the Patreon, to be completely fucking honest. Like, it's a great part of it, but you get to, at any point in time, you get to ask any question you want to a bunch of fucking savages. Let's just call it what it is, Mike. I got a bunch of savages in the Discord. We got a bunch of Dynasty savages ready to just rip your heart out. They'll give you feedback right then on the spot. You've got VCs going on if you want to come up to the Savage chat. Corey's doing VCs on Thursday Night Football. Like, there's a really active, good Dynasty community. Like, if that's what you're kind of into, where you want to have some people to kind of yuck it up with, talk some shit with, have a question about, this, what would a white person say here? That's what you're looking for. Patreon.com/South Harmon. We have a awesome Patreon. But if you also want to be a part of the trade show, that's how you do that there in the $5 tier. That's all I got, Mike. Anything you got before we get up out of here?
Nope. There's something for everybody in the Discord, the Patreon, whether you just want to get in there for $1 and ask some questions, you want to move up, $5, show off some shit. There's some other things in there, $8, a lot more advanced data. DB out here grinding every single week, Maddie dropping his cuck score. And then, of course, there's always the Savage where we're just full-on degenerate fucks.
Robert, they're like animals.
We're going to sit in voice chat tonight and watch the Eagles and Jaden Daniels. We're recording this on Thursday, by the way. And get drunk and talk shit. And there actually will be Dynasty questions and strategy stuff that comes up, but mostly just shit talking and have a good time with each other. So something for everybody.
It seems I have to go. There's some kind of animal savage fight at my house.
That's why it's called Savage Tier.
It's
away from Savage.
It is, and it's a blast, man. It's a blast. So check us out if you want to over there, if you want to be part of the show. If not, you want to just keep watching it on the YouTube channel, make sure you're at least liking and subscribing to the channel. We are out of this thing. We'll see you back here, same time, same place next week for the Dynasty Trade Show. Peace.
Peace.